shut this one off. I'm just about ready. There we go. So August 1969, I just finished my MA school, and I left and arrived in Atsugi, Japan. You know, that's a great duty station. Best duty station in my career, in my opinion. Not just because of the people. It's where I met my wife and later married her. So some of the people at Atsugi, Japan, I'm going to go through and tell you a little bit about is Ray Kobus. I met up with him in Atsugi, Japan, and they guys took care of me because I was a brand new mineman. Anyway, moving on, I talked to Ray, met up with him again in Guam. So, and then there was Lim McCoy. He was one of the original McCoys from the McCoy-Hatfield feud days. Funny guy. I got a story to tell about him in a little bit. There's A.B. Hyman, Bill Bash. I tell you what, I love Bill Bash. Great guy. He took care of me later on in my career. Lanny Forbes. And the stories I can tell you about Lanny, he would walk up behind you and say, you screwed that up. Because we were doing 25s and 36s in those days. And there was a lot of screws and color coding. You had to mesh things up. Well, guess what? Like I say, somebody walk up behind you and go, boy, did you screw that up. You got to take it all apart, put it back together. And then there was Pete Williams, better known as One Eye Willie. And I can tell you some stories about him. He's one of the few minemen that my wife liked. Okay. Sometimes he'd show up in the middle of the night and knock on the door and say, can I come in? And he was welcome in. James DeFries, we served together off and on. Yeah, I'll tell you some stories about old Frosty there later, maybe. David Bond was there. And I got some stories about David I could tell you. I might not. Some of these guys I'm going to tell you stories about and some I'm not. Because better left quiet than alive. Hey, Paul McCumber was there and went down to the Philippines with him. Pulled my first Philippines Liberty with Paul. Anyway, Red Spencer, Phil Crum, those two are related somehow. Doug McEwen, otherwise known as Mini Mac. Rich Shelton, off and on various tour duties with him. Linwood Ivey, a couple of places with Linwood. Not liked by very many people, I can tell you that. Strange dude. Doug Myers. He was married when he was there, and he took us over and feed us once in a while. Bruce Straley. Now, Bruce ended up being my best man at my wedding. So if you see that photo of me and my marriage party, and you'll see Bruce in that one. There was an ET named Stanford there. I don't remember his first name. And we had several AO workers from the weapons department who worked with us off and on. They did what we called menial stuff, filler jobs. Later on, arrivals were Gerald Severe and Russell Skurs. In those days, Russ and I didn't get along too well, but that's all right. Later on, we did pretty good. So, like I say, I arrived in Atsugi, Japan in August of 1969. And it was in the middle of the night. And it was a Friday night, because you get in there and you arrive and they just stuck us in a bunk. And on Saturday morning, they said, okay, the duty roster's been set up, so you newbies get to go home, go do whatever you want, and everybody else go to your duty stations. Well, I went on to Yeah. Somebody on Facebook's popping in here. We'll just pop up their notice. And like I say, anyway, I arrived in the middle of the night, and on Saturday morning, they let us go. I went out and I went hitchhiking. And by the time Monday morning was arrived, which you had to go to orientation on the first arrival day, and Monday was mine. By the time I went to orientation, they said everything they said don't do, I had already done. So all I knew was I was probably going to die. But of course I didn't, because I'm still here. Then we go over to the personnel department where you check in at. And as I'm standing in line to get booked in to checked in with the folks at the personnel department, his chief comes up to me and says, "Are you a mineman? Are you duty stationed here in Atsugi?" I says, "Chief, all I know is my orders say Atsugi." And he says, "I'll take care of you." He went in and seen the personnel chief and got me assigned to the mine shop, which at that time, the mine shop was assigned to the weapons department. Yeah. That was Lynn McCoy. He was a funny guy, taking care of me, walk in and say it was great. And I was assigned to the Atsugi mine shop from then on. And I'll tell you about later on when Becky showed up at the mine shop after they shut down Misawa for the first time. He met Becky and Beckwith, and he says, "Hey, you were supposed to come up to Misawa." I said, "I don't know. I just go where they sent me." And Misawa had reported me UA. Okay, as though I hadn't shown up. Come to find out, I lucked out I didn't get in too much trouble. Well, I was assigned, like I said, I was assigned to the deck department because it was a two-story. It was a new mine shop. Upstairs was supply and bunk room. And we used to take care of the magazines and bring the mine shop stuff in. Here's Paul Chavez. Just turned 6 and 69. Damn, Paul. Anyway, I was assigned to the mines division with One Eye Willie, and we take care of the magazines, bringing mines into the mine shop. Well, they had these goats out there taking care of cutting the grass, and the AOs took care of the goats. You know, they'd bring the goats in and round them up and bring them back when need to, because we had several magazines throughout the place, but this is the one where the mines were at. And they would eat just one side of the revetment, okay? They wouldn't eat the other side of the grass. And we had problems with dogs coming in and chewing up these goats. So they got the senior chief of the AOs had a dog that was in heat, and he brought his dog out there. And the funny thing is, now, Rich, I hate to say this, I know you was out there when they did that, but they say the dog kind of died instantly. The word I have was they staked the dog out, and when these other dogs came running in and chasing it, it took off running. And the minemen and AOs that were out there, Rich was one of them, they let off a shotgun blast and hit that dog at the last, and just when it hit the end of the rope and broke that dog's neck. That's not funny, but at the time it was. At least I thought it was. Anyway, Atsugi was a small town in those days. And when you got Liberty, you had to go out and go bar hopping out there a little bit. Minnie Mac, as he would take me out and introduce me to some of these places, he introduced me to a lot of because we go out to Atsugi and go to Yokohama. It wasn't too far away, a little train ride. And in those days, you had to learn some Japanese because there wasn't English anyplace in those days, except on the bases. So we'd go to Yokohama and drink around that place. Had a great time. Speaking of Yokohama, Italian Gardens is where we went a lot of times with the AOs when we started running around with those boys and girls. No girls in those days, just boys having fun. Anyway, Yokohama is where I met my wife, Heiko. Great woman. Best thing that ever happened to me. Took care of me for 20 years. I get a little choked up when I start talking about her. And that's all right. Anyway, next thing you know, Atsugi, come back at Atsugi, and I met this strange fella here or there one day. We having a party. AOs and my men, we do all the party setting up. And this damn dude come up from Yokosuka. His name was Tex Holloway. Him and Minnie Mac, I think, got into a little argument over something. Tex and I forget who the other guy was, rode up on their motorcycles from Yokosuka to join us at the party. We had a great time. We used to have fun in those days, you know? And then in those days, the inspections would be on Saturday because that was a stand-down day. So the personnel inspection was the first Saturday of the month. Okay? And you go stand personnel inspection, and there's like the whole base is out there. And if you were lucky, the captain came to you guys first. If not, you had to stand there and sweat your ass off until he got around to you. And if you were lucky, your shoes stayed in crisp shape. Well, after the personnel inspection was over, we do something stupid. Yeah, we go to the 19th hole. That's at the golf course. And this is where I learned my men know how to drink. Because we went out there, and I tell you what, One Eye Willie, he took a bottle and hit that top and spun the top off. Damn, they didn't put the bottle down till it was all gone. Whoa, man, I tell you what, that was rough. Being out there with them old guys, brings back memories. So again, August 1969. Atsugi, Japan. That's where I was. Best duty station I was ever at. Now, I had a lot of good duty stations, but you can classify the best. Has to be, in my opinion, Atsugi. Because of the people I was with and the stories I could tell you, and probably the stories they could tell you about me. And because that's where I met my wife. The next story would be about Nab-Mag Subic Bay. Not Momag, because we weren't Momag in those days. It'd be Nab-Mag Subic Bay. Because they closed down Atsugi. Shameful. Should have kept that one open. I done Google search to check out what Atsugi looks like today, and most of it looks the same, but they didn't do any. They changed a whole bunch of it. Atsugi's where I fired an M50, John Wayne style. Man, as being part of that ordnance department, you learned a lot of stuff. And Atsugi's where we went. We went to a Kago for explosive training. And the stories I can tell you about that one, that was just fun, downright fun. It's just amazing the things we did in those days. Hey, I hope you guys can tell stories like this. And remember, if you see that link on the Mindman News, you can tell a story there, and I'll put it on the website. I'm going to post this one there after I edit it, okay? I want you to remember, you guys be good. Enjoy your life, because it's important to every one of us. Bye now.